Discipline is the bridge between a vision and reality. Hopes and dreams are free. You can have all the hopes and dreams you want, but to see the success, you got to put in the work. So the paying part of success is the work. Hey, what's up? This is Brad with Be Real. Hey, I got one for you. I'll tell you too. This is probably like my 30-second podcast. I'm really excited about this one, and I hope you'll take time to watch it to the end. I hope maybe you'll even rewatch it. I hope you'll share it with somebody else. Not to help me necessarily in any way, but I really feel like this is a culmination of a conversation I had with a friend. It was a culmination from a message from church. It was just a culmination of things that just started being laid on my heart, and I feel like it'll help people. And the title of the podcast is Strain Builds Strength. The strain builds strength. And I probably have reworded this type of thing in different ways in the past, but there's something about the way that this was said that literally the strain is what builds the strength. And to not veer away from the strain, but to realize once the strain hits, normally that's where the growth comes from. So when you're facing the strain, there's two options. The big one is fight or flight. And realizing that everybody has the strain, everybody goes through these certain, I'm not trying to minimize what you're going through, but everybody has a strain. It even says in the Bible, I'm not going to put you through anything that other people have not gone through. So there's fight or flight. And if you realize that I'm just going to stay in this deal and I'm going to figure out in my opinion, the good times are for us to enjoy and to learn something from. The bad times are maybe we're not necessarily going to enjoy them, but they are things for us to learn from. And if you will look around while you're in these times of strain, normally you will find the things that it is that will help you, because I've compared this to like hurdling at a track and field event. Once you get used to going over the hurdles, then you can start going over them faster. But we're all going to be facing hurdles the rest of our lives. So the biggest thing is to show up, man. Be present. I say that always is effort, enthusiasm, but the biggest thing is being intentional and tenacious. So first you got to show up for them. Showing up with energy, enthusiasm, effort, intensity. You don't have to be perfect, but you got to be present in the strain. I'm going to say that again. You're not going to be perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect. But when I say present too, you're obviously be going through the strain physically or in a physical place, but also you got to be there mentally. I'm one of these people that thinks that I can multitask a bunch of different things, but I've read and I've learned that people that do one thing, knock that thing out, move to the next thing, are more efficient and effective than people like me that try to do 50 things at once. But you got to be present in the moment, be present in the deal, consciously understand you're in the strain, but here comes the strength. There's power in showing up. It's consistency. It crushes the comfort. Consistency crushes comfort, because a lot of times, in my opinion, when I have hit these times of strain, I feel like they are things that the world or God has put me into, because I felt like prior to that, I was supposed to go a certain direction or move a certain direction. And the world just said, all right, bro, you ain't going to go that way. I'm just going to kind of force you into that direction. Which gets me out of my comfort zone. Let me tell you, like I got to win. I want to win. Well, show up first. To win the boxing match, you got to get in the ring. So show up is the first thing. And showing up for the strain separates the winners from the wishers. That's a good one, because loser's not a good term now. Not politically correct. But winners separates you from this. Showing up separates the winners from the wishers. Strain is the secret sauce. So if and it all goes back to how you look at it, and how you perceive it. And if you start perceiving it as an unnegative or not negative thing, if you literally start looking at strain as a positive, because normally something great comes out of the end of the strain, but it also, it helps you, the strain actually helps you push you through it. Yeah, it's a little discomfort. It's a little uncomfortable. Can I tell you something? If you are in a, this is something else I learned. If you are in a place of comfort and peace, sit tight, enjoy it. Let the forces around you to work. But if you are agitated and irritated and uncomfortable, get your butt up and go do something different. There's a reason that you're agitated. There's a reason that you're uncomfortable, and it is put in us to help us to move to do different things. What feels safe keeps us small. That's kind of a big thing for me. I was with that company for 30 years, but it was safe. I thought it was safe until they decided they were going another direction. But also at the same time, since that has happened and they went a different direction, I've had several other people come into my life and help me. They're like, oh man, I wish you hadn't stayed at that company 30 years. I wish you would have hopped around to a couple different companies for more years. It would have actually strengthened your resume. So literally, feeling safe keeps you small. You might have to leave what's feeling safe to achieve significant. You might have to leave feeling safe to achieve significance. You might have to leave safe. I'm like, well, I want to be significant. I want to achieve significance. Great. Get out of being safe. Safety is the enemy of significance. Growth demands risks. Strength is on the other side of surrender. You can tell I've been thinking about this. Is there, I always say that on the other side of a hardship or whatever is a treasure. But strength is on the other side of surrender. Um, when you kind of give up a little bit and just do what you can do, achieve what you can achieve. At the end of the day, if you've done everything that you possibly can, you've done what you possibly can, turn the light off and go to sleep. Get up the next day and do the best, do the most. And if that's all you do every day, that's all you're supposed to do. Um, uh, so the growth demands risk. Strength requires for us to say yes to the unknown. Um, Sometimes we gain strength and momentum. It stops. Sometimes we gain strength the moment you stop resisting the strain. That's the surrender part. Um, Discipline bridges between the vision and reality. So discipline is the bridge between a vision and reality. We hopes, there's another famous guy that says, hopes and dreams are free. Success costs money. Hopes and dreams are free. You can have all the hopes and dreams you want, but to see the success, you got to put in the work. So the paying part of success is the work. Without discipline, dreams die and they become deserted. Actually, that's what we were starting to talk about. This deal is actually the strain is actually what really builds the strategy. And I'm one of those people. I have a tendency of kind of going through life. I have a tendency of not maybe being intentional. But you put me in a storm, oh, I'm listening. And oh, I'm taking notes before I go to bed at night. I'm getting up and I'm taking notes. What am I doing? I'm actually getting a strategy. I'm strengthening my strategy. I'm like, whatever I'm doing is not working, so I'm going to do something different. So the strain actually builds the strategy. Hard times teach us what we will never learn without them. The immediate exchange. Once you face the strange, you immediately get the strength. So that's just another thing for us to think about. Okay, I'm getting into this pressure situation here. Instead of being fearful of that, if you think, okay, on the other side of this is the blessing, on the other side of this is the dreams. Sorry, on the other side of this is the dreams. On the other side of this is the strength, both mental strength and physical strength. But you got to go through the strain. Um, Strength doesn't always take years. You know, that's one of the thing about the strain is the more you strain. Like I keep making this analogy to the whole gym deal. The more you strain at the gym, the more you strengthen. If you just go to the gym, put a bunch of light weights on a bunch of machines, you can do that. There's no problem with that. Nobody's judging you. But don't go to the gym saying I'm going to get stronger and put a bunch of light weights on there. It's the same thing with life. Sorry, I'm going to call. Energy follows effort. Energy, you have to have effort to get the energy. I know it's kind of sounds a little bit backwards, but energy follows effort. When you bring effort, energy follows. Show up, give your best anyway, and watch the momentum multiply. There's a famous thing in sales that's when's the best time to make a sale? Right after you just made one, because there is a momentum going that a lot of people like kind of kick their feet up because they hit a big sale or whatever. I was never that guy because I understood that there's a momentum and there's a pendulum in life. And while the pendulum's swinging in my direction, I'm going to keep going to the batter's box. Strength. This is one we've talked about before. Strain separates the serious. So strain gives strength, and strain separates the serious. Because I've said this before, whatever field you're in, whatever you're doing, you went to bed last night hoping and wishing and dreaming that you would achieve something today. But there are millions and millions of people on earth that had the same hopes and dreams. But I feel like the strain is a test for us that decides on who really wants this deal. And those that really want it are the people that will go through the strain and become victorious. Most people quit at the strain. It's extremely important to consciously realize strain is not a terrible thing. Strain is not a life and death things a lot of times. Strain is actually what we're looking for. It's going to sound a little weird, but failure is when I used to manage people at a restaurant, when I hired waiters and waitresses, one of the things I ask in the interview question is, "Hey, can I ask you a question? Do you water ski?" Like, yeah, I water ski. I go, "Cool. Do you ever fall?" And they go, "Oh no, dude, I don't fall." I never hired them because I needed people going fast enough in a restaurant. Every once in a while, you're going to drop a tray. Every once in a while, you're going to drop a water. But if you're not on occasion making mistakes, you're probably not moving at the cadence that you possibly are capable of moving at. So most people quit at the strain. Champions train through it. The strength is earned. It's not inherited. Yes, there are physically strong people. There are mentally strong people. But none of that inheritance that we were given, either mentally or physically, strength, is not the full of our capacity. It has to be earned. You have to earn it by facing it. You have to be earned by appreciating it. You have to earn it by realizing what the heck it is, realizing that on the other side is the strength. And I am not saying this like I haven't gone through strain in my life, but I'm just telling you that, I've said this before. Who wants to go listen to a motivational speaker and he gets up there and goes, "Yeah, my grandpa was rich, my dad was rich, and I'm rich. Peace." No. The people we have a tendency of listening to and the people that we have a tendency of emulating to are the people that absolutely got their teeth knocked out, that have been bankrupt 2 or 3 times, have lived in their cars, because when they speak, we want to listen because all of us have failed. All of us have gone through the strain. So the strain is not actually look for the strain, because if you'll follow the strain, you're going to follow the success. Don't always go down the path of least resistance. You guys go have a great day and be real.